Marfoogle TV live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam A.K. Marf. Let's get right into the news. Saudi Arabia threatens to strike Iran. This is no surprise. Again, Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Salman bin Laden. I might actually be saying that wrong. Basically, the Crown Prince has said many times, hey, keep smacking them, keep hitting Iran. We need you to really just do some damage to the United States. And it is, again, Prince Faisal bin Farhan. I totally messed that up. I'm getting my princes confused. The Saudi foreign minister, it is a prince. I guess there's a bunch of them. Warned on Thursday night with that patience with Tehran was running out after an oil refinery was hit and 8 Iranian ballistic missiles targeted Riyadh. It says this pressure from Iran will backfire politically and morally, and certainly we reserve the right to take full military actions if deemed necessary. Iran's strikes on Thursday came after Israel hit its South Pars gas field, the largest in the world and a lifeline for the Islamic Republic. So they definitely struck back hard, and now, of course, more parties are getting involved. Saudi Arabia was one of my bingo picks for one of the first to jump in, and that's exactly what's happening. It was pretty easy to see. I'm pretty sure most people saw that common sense. We're going to talk about this and much more. In fact, they say that they are going to tell sleepers, again, there's been a message that's been going out for about a month now, an encrypted message that if people have the other end of it, sleeper cells in all countries, that message very well was predicted to be a sleeper cell message to attack or to do something. That message is playing. Well, now they're saying that the tourist attractions are most likely the next target. So we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Again, we'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We've got a lot to go over in a short amount of time, so let's get right into it. First of all, thank you to Bobby Sue. Thank you to Real Dex James for modding up in the chat. Thank you, Joseph Buck, Janin, Joe Sissel, Trammell, Mike, WIS Jen, and so many more for popping in already. Leah, I don't know if you're here already, but Stephen McMahon, thank you, Delta Wildman, and so many more. Thank you. It is go time, Trammell. That's exactly what many of us think is going on here. I mean, like, this is it. We just talked about over on news. Make sure to go watch that video. Share it out as far as you can. I very, very much appreciate that. We really appreciate every person who subscribes to the channel, but also share that out. About the deployments. There's more deployments, more amphibious assault groups, or the other amphibious assault group that just got put out. That was just talked about. So make sure to go check that out. Dex, do you want to go into the next story? Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So let's talk about this this second piece here, and if you want to intro that, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, certainly. So they're getting more information, which is, kind of scarce. It's coming out of Iran, but this one is a little easier to come out because it's coming from the Ayatollah, or at least they want us to believe that. They're telling us that the Ayatollah had praised the Iranians steadfast in the face of the war in a written statement that was read on the Iranian television. He said the U.S. and Israeli attacks were based on an illusion that killing Iran's top leaders could cause the overthrow of the government. They then went on to explain that the targeting for them, that Iran would start to threaten world tourism sites and say it's still building missiles 3 weeks into the war. So that's an interesting statement because we've heard from President Trump that they took out all of the missile manufacturing capabilities. But in this particular statement, they said, no, we're still building them. So maybe they're building them in another location that's unknown to anybody. They also went on to say that parks, recreational areas, and tourist destinations worldwide won't be safe for the country's enemy. The threat renewed concerns that Iran may revert to using militant attacks beyond the Middle East as a pressure tactic as part of the war.
And again, the Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, which I don't know if we've actually seen it in a press conference. He's just as alive as Bibi. Again, steadfastness in the face of war. In a written statement read on Iranian television to Mark Norris, he said that the U.S. and Israel attacks were based on an illusion that taking out Iran's top leaders could cause the overthrow of the government, which now, as we know, we're seeing a new kind of war. It's not really, I mean, I couldn't say it's a new kind of war, but it's most definitely new to as far as what has been our wars, right? This is an asymmetrical war where you took off the head of the snake and 40 people all around him, all under him, and they had regional areas set up. Everybody had their own orders. Essentially, every province had their own structure and command, their own ammo, their own drones, their own ballistic missiles, their own launchers. Everybody was separate, and they all had these things set up because they knew that the top people were going to be taken out. What a crazy position to be in, the original Ayatollah. Would you want that much power if you knew that a country like the U.S. especially wanted you gone? Oh my gosh, how did that guy sleep? I'm sure he probably didn't much. I mean, they have literally hit people with precision missiles in a passenger seat of a car from across the world. That's how scary we are. But at the same time, they now are continuing to ramp up the cost of this war to the point where you're going to hear nothing more than about all of our economy is going to start going to crap. Our gas is already surging, and of course now they're asking allies for help at the same time as essentially the president just put out something saying, we're close to possibly wrapping this up. Again, winding down. The last time it was wrapping up, now it's winding down. After he said wrapping up, and then he asked for help. Go ahead.
Well, the thing that bothers me right now is we've got continued threats on the homeland. We've seen a few actions that have happened early on. You had the incident in New York. We've seen numerous incidences at military bases and other locations, nightclub, things like that, that have happened here. And now we've got an actual larger threat about our tourist locations. You've got holidays coming up with spring breaks and Easter, and as you work your way into summer through all the different celebrations that are going to be going on. It just, the thing that bothers me is our homeland security is unfunded at the moment. Our government is basically saying, we don't need that. We're willing to put aside the payments to the employees for DHS, which is supposed to be the department that actually helps defend against this and investigate this type of stuff. They're not funded right now. So are we setting ourselves up, or is this all part of a big plan? Maybe something big is coming, and it's all part of the fact that they want DHS to be unfunded right now?
Yeah, and there's this message that's been going out. This is a tweet. If in fact, I'll quote it right now. Remember, And then I'll just put out
Day of the U.S.-Israeli attack.
Boom. So this is an explanation of that, the signal that's been going out. And again, this is something that they've tried to jam. A transmission is being sent and it keeps getting passed around. They've jammed it, then it pops up somewhere else. And it has these encrypted messages that essentially on the other end, they need to have not only the code for it so they can decrypt it, but then they have to know what those words mean once they have that key to that encryption. So this has been going out, and they have tried really, really hard to jam this, and it just keeps coming up. Other stations, they just switch stations. So that is what is popping up, and many said that this was a message. Now, I'm not saying to go out and be afraid of everything, but what I am saying is we haven't seen anything yet. We have not seen, a single guy going into a bar. That is nothing. A single person going into a mall or something, pop, 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 that is nothing. The kind of stuff that us and many preppers have been watching for years, the kind of stuff that we would expect if this really went down, which people think it will never happen here. It can't happen in this quiet neighborhood. Oh, I can't believe that person did that. It's so quiet here. No, nothing ever happens here. That's the kind of stuff that you hear all the time, but that's not the truth. At some point, if we see a big event, and the expected ones are a coordinated event across the United States and Europe, if we see a big event like an EMP or a tactical coordinated mission to take out our grid or to take out our cyber communications, something like that, that is something that, very well could happen, and people don't want to admit that. They don't want to think about it. Then many times they get mad. If you see the mad people that call this kind of stuff fear-mongering, it's like, this is a choice. To follow this kind of news and to follow these kind of stories, that's a preference. You can follow fluff pieces about celebrities and their makeup or their surgeries or whatever. It's your choice as a human being. You're an adult. So if you're here, you are interested in this stuff. If you're angry about it, what I think that is fear turns into anger. The best way I could put it is when somebody pops out of a garbage can, everybody's seen that clip, the person screams and they get scared, and then the first reaction after that is anger and punches the guy in the garbage can. That's what I literally believe is just a physiological thing that is happening with people when they're being told that we very well may have one of the biggest events happen to us, just like CV. Well, like when I saw CV coming, it's proven. You can go back 6, 8, 9 months before CV happened, and I warned everybody. I said, this is going to happen, and many other people had this warning too. It's like it's a very small percentage of people that can see these kind of patterns and see it. Many of you all have acquired it. It's not like a superpower. It's something that it comes with time and following this stuff. I followed stuff since 2002, maybe, after 2001, when you started following everything with a question mark. That's when things started, coming into place. All it takes is just questioning everything and not believing and remembering, even if you think and totally agree with something, to question it. And once you do, you can see this stuff coming before it happened. The comment by the, who done it yesterday, that's the kind of stuff that I look for and I see, and that helps make a more solid prediction. When you have all of these things adding up, this says everybody needs to get ready now. This is not something for the faint of heart. This is not happy news. If you're angry, that's on you. This is a choice. So, but I do hope that even those folks that are angry and punching the guy in the garbage can, that they are getting their foods and water stocked up and things like this, because the more of us that are stocked up, it's not that half these people, I'll be honest, I don't care if you've got your stuff ready, but I do care the more people that get ready and more people get prepared, the less people that are going and raiding other people, that are taking other people's lives because they didn't prepare. This in every other country, especially Europe, they tell people to prepare. Before World War II, the U.S. was really good. It even taught people how to make their own gardens and to be self-sufficient. Now you're considered a conspiracy theorist, a term that was literally made up by the CIA to make people, totally and utterly just, think any questioning of the government is crazy. But you can question the government and still stand behind your country. You just, again, you have to understand that it is a system. It's cogs and wheels turning at all times, and we have to look at everything that's happening to protect ourselves. Here's the best way I could put it. Who else is going to protect you? Look at Hawaii. Look at North Carolina. Look at Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. Look at California. Look at all these instances when people were turned around and put right back into the fire. In some cases, literally. When people were left without water, in the worst of times, say when there is fire. When the alarms are turned off, no warnings. These are the kind of things. And then when the money is spent wrong and they run out of money, but yet they have enough money to send money to Ukraine. All these things. It's like it should be telling people that when this goes on, okay, if you doubt it, great. But if you spend just a tiny bit, a tiny percentage, what you're spending on Starbucks a week preparing, then I guarantee you're not going to regret it, especially if something like this happens. All right, now. There's just a lot. And I've been following this stuff for 40 years. Yeah, Kim O'Donnell, you have more time on me. It's probably been 25 years, which is so insane that I've been following this, and it is nuts. All right, and then, shoot here. Hold on one second. Let me switch this over and zoom this out so you guys can actually see it. All right. And I did want to add in this. Mashish Al-Anjad, today in Iran, the middle of a war, the regime took the life of a 19-year-old national wrestling champion for the crime of joining the January protests. Now, we don't know if this is fully, again, this is most likely the truth. 3 young protesters, Salat Mohammadi, Mehdi Ghassemi, and Saeed Davoudi, were hanged in Qom after a sham trial. Reports indicate that they were, of course, treated very badly, if you get my meaning. Forced confessions, no access to chosen lawyers, closed-door proceedings, no right to appeal. And then they're calling on Global Athlete. It says, this is not just about sports, this is about human dignity. Again, they're saying that this gentleman is no longer with us because he joined those protests. There's many more than that. There were hundreds and thousands. And to answer the people that also question like those events, the protests and things, I'm not saying I believe the narrative of what exactly happened there too. They're very well, I believe there are clandestine services in all of these countries trying to get to a certain result, whether that be the topple and overthrow of Iran or to get a bigger war started with somebody else so they can topple and overthrow them. I don't know, but I do know it's messed up. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, and this is also an interesting position to look at right now. So you had the Ayatollah the original Ayatollah who was in power at the time when they allegedly took out up to 35,000 protesters. Some say 10,000. There's varying numbers, but some large number. And then through the negotiations said, hey, we'll stop. All right, we're not going to do that anymore. Okay, fine. We're done. Well, they started it back up today. This is the first round, and they're doing it publicly. These were done out in public, out in front of the square, so to speak, as a means to tell the public, don't rise up again, because look at what we're going to do to you. So this is now, of course, there's a different leader or different leadership. Maybe it's his son, maybe it's the puppet, string pullers that are doing it, but they're the ones that have now changed and flopped back over on that commitment to not take out any of the, not violate these human rights issues and take out any of the protesters. So yeah, that's a big flip. And it's going to have, it's a twofold effect is, what is the response? Is there going to be a response more from the world stage against them for this? Not just America. And will there be a response from the people? Will they go back to their, homes and shut the doors and keep their mouths shut? Or will they go out to the streets and start to, will this be a rally cry for them? And will they start to protest again? That'll be the interesting thing, is how this plays in the coming days.
Clint Leonard says, kind of joking, but what was that? Geoengineered food? What I was trying to see, because that was a response to Old School Foogle Fam there. Let's see here. I'm kind of joking, but definitely bioengineered foods. LOL. I don't know if you're talking about. It looks like you might be talking about some of the prep stuff. Yeah, no, some of the stuff that I would watch out for is that the canned foods and stuff, the long lasting stuff. Man, a lot of the crap stuff that all of us have bought, like SpaghettiOs and things like that, it's like there's so much junk in that food. That's why you should go not to a source like me, but to a source like Alaska Prepper and get advice like what you should actually buy. Especially his payday preps. I don't know if he still does them, but when he did them like every time he got paid, he would spend a tiny amount of money, like $10 back when $10, probably now it'd be $4,000. And that was like last year. But he used to spend like $10 and he would do it every payday and see how much he could get for that. And he would show like the amount, monetary amount, and then how much you could get for it and say, hey, get something like this. And then you could put like a freaking Starbucks coffee worth it every week or every other week. It is definitely better than nothing. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. This is a device that if you are new, this is, again, something we've talked about 10 billion times. People do skip this, but I would say this, in this time, especially now, this is a super, super important one to know about. This is a device that will protect your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, generators, satellite systems like Starlink, your internet, everything. I mean, they literally have a device for almost everything. Some cover tons of stuff, like the home. That will cover everything plugged into your house within 250 linear feet of where it's wired in. It is very easy to do. Again, you can also wire it into your car in less than 10 minutes, and then that means your car is going to ground the signal from both that EMP blast or a Carrington level event from the sun in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it can fry your car. That way, you're getting home to your family, and your car still runs after multiple EMP blasts are hit, because it's going to hit, it might come in waves. Again, it will just keep coming one after another, and it will ground each one of them, allowing you to get out to bug out or get home to get home. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. Code MARF will save $50 off per device, and that helps our channel out too. We are independent. We don't have anybody telling us what to do. We have no protection. We have no multi-channel network placing our slots. It would be better if we had somebody filling every slot with ball shavers, but we don't. I only sell stuff that I believe will save your life, or that will help you, or that is a quality thing. All right, marfooglenews.com/EMP, code MARF. All right, thank you again. CMAX says, as for lakes and rivers drying up, that's because they're draining them into the DUMBs and EOCs. If you think that they will give you UBI once AI takes over, universal basic income, they will get rid of us. Oh, okay. Let you know, you know. Oh, if you know, you know. I think that's what it means. I'm pretty good. I've never seen either one of those. UBI, as far as universal basic income, Elon talks about it a lot, and a lot of experts are saying that it is absolute. My uncle just sent me a very, very, what was the word he used? Very eye-opening, or not eye-opening, a very, very thoughtful look at AI and where it's heading. And of course, there's a million of those, right? Everybody's saying what they think of AI and where it's going. We all know, like, we all have that gut feeling that it's not going to go somewhere good. And universal basic income, like, where, and they're saying that we'll all be wealthy. It will be like in Star Trek, where there's no money. Basically, everybody will be at least well off, right? That we'll all be able to have fun and do whatever. It will be like Wall-E, right? We all sit and consume. But I don't care what kind of system there is. They're not going to want 8 billion people just sitting on their asses. I don't think that's going to happen. I kind of agree with you, CMAC. I think that it would be a much easier system, even regardless of what kind of cool AI they have and what kind of systems they've built. It will be easier to maintain a smaller pop. What do you guys think, though? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, and then Dex, the second person was arrested now trying to enter this a UK nuclear missile base, one with submarines, and definitely one of the more important bases here.
As we talked about on this one earlier, that happened, that they arrested 2 people at that base, but a man and a woman. One was Iranian. The thing that we need to be talking about is the fact that they're now, what the IEE is saying about urging people to conserve fuel. Have you seen that?
This is something that, of course, I'm going to pull this up here. Let me get this on here. So on top of, we just talked over on news about these guys that just walked into this base. I want to point out we're going to actually reroute and come back to this because it's super important. Obviously, I've talked about this before with, what do you call it? Here, hold on. Let me give you a visual here. Mm-hmm. There we go. Yeah. So let me pull this article up here. We talked about this with the second person that was arrested. This is one after another. It seems like these were different times, two different people that were trying to get in. Now, this is all going to tie in later, so remember this story. Again, two people trying to get into the base. But again, yeah, what Dex is talking about, people urged to work from home in a global oil crisis. So I already know that this is almost going to be like a voluntary lockdown, or not even a voluntary one. If this gets to the point where gas is so expensive, people aren't going to travel. I know that like two of my family members, the ones that I actually go see, they are at least 30, 40 miles away. And with our kid carrier, you know, we have an 8-seater old 2005 vehicle with the V8 in it. It is horrible. It's been hell, to be frank, and that's with Seattle $5 a gallon gas already. This is before all of this happened. It was about $4.90 for premium and $4.70 for unleaded or whatever. Just insane prices. The cheapest was like $4 when we were like celebrating. So, and that's because of our taxes. But when it gets to the point where it's 10, 20, 10, 15, 20, which we can't fathom right now, but it can get that bad. Dex, do we have the other story too about the metals? Is that after this? I don't know if we have that in here at all. The tungsten metal and stuff like that. Is that later?
Yeah, I think we have that later.
Okay. So basically what we're looking at is we're looking at wartime without even a declared war. It's not even a declared war yet. But now we are seeing that if oil raises to a certain point, we're going to be hit in the face with a really, really big realization that this could be as bad as CV, whereas CV was more, in my opinion, they manufactured the part where we were all suffering through. Like, we didn't have, they didn't have to do the things that they did, but they did. They basically chose to lock this down, to do this, to keep it extended, to make us do all of these jumping through hoops. Whereas this is going to be something that whatever they end up releasing. And I told you guys, Dex, remember when we talked about how they were talking about releasing 400 million barrels from this and 100 barrels from this, that was obvious that this is going to get worse. And as far as like telling people, oh yeah, you should work from home, like, F you, like, let's figure something else out. Like, let's get some oil pumping or do something so we can frickin' have this work.
Yeah, they're suggesting that if this carries on and continues to escalate, especially the attacks on the actual oil facilities on both sides, if all of that continues and nothing gets put down and resolved quickly, that we could be in a position where countries in the world are literally running out of gas. Kind of like the gas crisis of the 70s, where you're standing in line, 100 cars deep to try to get your 2 gallons of ration, if there's even any fuel to go around. That does sound extreme. Probably will not happen in America because we have plenty of our own gas, but this type of effect across the globe has an effect on everyone. It'll have an effect on our prices. So while we may have plenty of gas, we're not going to want to pay $12 or $20 a gallon if that's what the price goes up to, because that very well could happen. And when you think about just the price of gas, it's not just, hey, I need to go to the store or I need to go to work, but it's also all the goods and services that are provided with that gas, whether it be trucks that are hauling the food to the stores, or the service industry that's running to your house to fix your electrical or your plumbing. All of these people are paying a higher gas prices, so all of the charges and all of that's going to go up dramatically. I heard an anecdote today about the TSA guys, which are part of DHS, which are not funded right now. They're on their second paycheck, I think it is, or second pay period, that they did not get a paycheck. Well, they're like literally can't even come to work now because gas prices are up. They can't afford to pay the gas, and they don't have any money because they haven't been paid. So imagine that. Imagine you're trying to do the right thing, keep your job. They're not paying you, and you can't even afford to put the gas in the car to get to the job.
When there is a essentially one of the, what do they call a part of the chain? Just a part of it. A link in the chain. Just take out one link in our supply chain. I thought of a word that probably shouldn't say. I don't know why I thought of that word instead. But a link in the chain. You take that out, all of a sudden you've got this domino effect. Like Dex just said, these guys, all of a sudden it's getting to the point where they haven't been paid. So now they don't have the money to pay for gas to even get to work. Then all of a sudden you have TSA behind 6 hours. TSA is already bad enough. I haven't been on a plane for many years, but I have had many family come and visit and had to pick up people where it was like, it was insane how delayed they actually were because of TSA on the heading out part. And it's like, you mess with a system like that, then you mess the entire globe up. Entire systems will start collapsing. And that's, another thing that people don't want to think about. They put their head in the sand, but our system is actually quite fragile. As I said in chat earlier, we're not geographically safe either. We've had 4 years of incoming people. If you have some folks that are already here that weren't taken out during that very obvious, in my opinion, the grabbing of people, that wasn't just because, we want these people out of America. They were using targeted intelligence from CIA and NSA to grab these people. They were grabbing among the people and the fathers and mothers just trying to get a better job or make better money. There were people here in those grabs, the raids in Hyundai, the raids in Chinatown in New York. Those raids, they were grabbing people that I almost guarantee were part of something massive or much bigger. And they don't tell you about that. They tell you about all of the other ones like the MERS and these people and that, but they didn't show you the people that are espionage spies and all of this. And why? Think about it. If they're raiding all these people and grabbing them, and they're going to all of these sanctuary states, the same states that can't just pull over somebody and go, hey, where are you from? That's exactly where those people would go. Non-uniformed officers of other militaries going right into our country. That's what happened over 4 years. You can debate about the presidents and who was in charge of them. But the fact is that these people came in, and a lot of them, along with these people that just wanted a better life or a better payday. But yeah, like this is, you have a couple sleeper cells take out certain systems, that link in that supply chain all of a sudden falls apart. We've seen it, and we haven't seen it the worst yet. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, just talking about the supply chain or the links in the chains, just take the micro position of TSA. There's so many people that are not working right now at TSA that they're talking about having to move people from the regional airports to the main airports, effectively closing regional airports. So imagine what it's going to be like if we have to close our regional airports. So you have to then traverse to a very large city to take a flight.
Well, and think about packages, FedEx flights, and other things that might stop or might be affected. Shipments of all sorts of things getting stopped. I can only imagine where that could go. And here's the thing: in my opinion, and many others, this is coming. This is why we prepare. I don't think it's a maybe. In my opinion, it is. But people get really scared when you say that this is coming. But my opinion, and this is going to happen. I don't care what one article or this article says, or I don't care about the flip-flop debunks and, this is going to happen. It's not going to, like that article saying, China won't invade in 2027. Then why are you telling us? That's right, because every single commander has prepared for war with China for 2027. They technically, they're not going to invade Taiwan in 2027. Really? They're going to wait for when it's convenient for us for them to do it? They're going to wait until Trump is out of office, like he said? Like really taking the word of the Xi Jinping? I'll wait until you're out. I'll wait until 2029. No worries. And the way that these elites think, and I'm not kidding you, these people are protected through any kind of bad event. So it's not looked at the same way that me and you look at this. This is looked at as an event that they don't worry about. If you're talking about us prepping, it's a chunk of our paycheck. Even if it's $10 or $20, that's a big deal when you're down to barely paying rent, barely paying this, barely paying that, and barely getting by. It's a big deal to even spend $10 per paycheck. I mean, that could be something else. But again, when all of this is happening, they're not going to wait. These people are convenient through all of this. They have $270 million bunkers under their house. They can live for years in a very comfortable place and take a swim in their pool. We can't. They can survive a year or two. They don't care about this. So when they're making decisions, they're also doing it from like a bravado, like, pow, 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 I can do whatever I want. But if this happens, it's a way bigger risk to us, the civilians that don't have the ability to have a $270 million bunker. We're going to be in a position that's really bad, not them. So just keep in mind, the people that are making decisions, we can't fathom this happening. But at the same time, if there's a decision that it's a 70% chance that we will get attacked or there is an invasion or our grid will go down, they're willing to take that. It doesn't matter how morally, sound you think they are. They might not think the way we do, that even one missed paycheck like these TSA people is going to kill us. It's literally take us out. I mean, how many of you can miss a paycheck? Tell me in chat. How many of you can miss one paycheck and survive? How many of you will be evicted if you miss one paycheck? Like straight up evicted. Tell you what, it's a scary prospect. Delta Wildman, it's all speeding up now, so hang on and keep prepping. Time's running out. I agree, and people are afraid to say it. Once we accept UBI, they all have us by the short hairs. We depend on Gov for everything, no dissent or death. That is absolutely true. UBI, think about this. They talk about the mark all the time. Well, if you don't fit into the profile that they need you to be in, you can't buy. You can't do this. They've already set up a system just like Wally. Wally's a crazy example, but so many people have used it. The digital world where you're watching VR, they've literally set up an entire other world in the VR. So you're driving down the street, and this is something, I don't do VR. Your car will. All of your stuff will have an overlay of what's going on. So say you're driving down the street and the directions are big arrows on your screen that don't interrupt everything, that's translucent, tells you to take a right. Well, up here above Johnny's Diner, somebody else has bought that digital space and they have an ad for Coca-Cola right above Johnny's Diner. Johnny's Diner doesn't get freaking paid for it because somebody else ended up buying that digital space and that digital advertisement, and they get paid for Johnny's Diner, or Coca-Cola ended up buying it up. Go look this up. They're selling these digital freaking plots of land. It's nuts. And they've already set this up. Think about when we have UBI and we're all just getting a certain amount of money and we're all good when nobody has jobs and they have everything autonomous. The rich will still be rich. The poor will still be poor. The middle will still be middle. Like it's not going to, the only thing it's going to change is the poorest of people may have some sort of universal basic income, but if you do not toe the line, you will not have an income. You will not be able to shop. They can turn off any service. We know this because anytime people have dissented already in Canada, you do a freaking protest with your truck, the truck you own, they'll cut off your bank account. I mean, how fast did that protest end? Wasn't that sad? So yeah, things in the future, UBI, you cut off somebody's UBI and say, hey, no, you can get your UBI, your universal basic income, but you just have to take that post down. Imagine that. I can. Can you? All right, and then let's see here. We got Chinese squeeze on war metal. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Dex, do you want to talk about tungsten and this other stuff that's going on?
Yeah, certainly. The price of tungsten is surging as the crisis in the Middle East fuels demand for missiles, shells, and other munitions. They say the critical mineral has been seen a stunning 500% rally over the past year after China imposed export restrictions. And of course, now with the war going on, there's even stronger restrictions. The war metal is widely used in defense because it's tough, dense nature. It's got a very high, like 3,422 degrees Celsius, not even Fahrenheit, but Celsius melting point, which makes it ideal for high temperature applications. It goes into everything from a hypersonic missile nose cone to armor piercing bullets to bunker busting bombs and air burst counter drone shells. So this tungsten material is used everywhere. Since the end of January alone, when American forces first began massing in the Middle East, the price of tungsten jumped from $1,225 a ton to $2,165 a ton. That's almost double on the spot market. So that's just as we started to ramp up the presence in the Middle East in January. That's not even taken into account now. Analysts said the tungsten price rally started last February, and it's continuing to grow since then. But this is a big deal because you got to think about all of the equipment that we have spent, or all of the munitions that we have spent so far, and will probably spend even more going forward in this event. We have to replace, and we're going to have to replace it with this product that's going to cost us more than double, actually 5x what it cost us a year or two ago.
Yeah, and the almost doubling of that's insane. I actually thought about it. Gosh, to get no per ton TONNE, is that a different measurement than a TON? Is that truly a ton, like 2,000 pounds? Is that 2,000 pounds?
Yes.
It just sounds crazy. Like, what is? I guess it's probably a lot. It is a lot smaller than you think, but 2,000 pounds. Like, if you just went out and spent just a month ago, $1,200. How much does a ton look?
1,000 kilograms.
So it is different, right?
Yeah. It's a unit of weight equal to 1,000 kilograms. I didn't see the spelling, but yeah.
Yeah, the NE I think makes a difference. So how much is that? Like, I'm just curious because that's a ton is 2,000 pounds, like a car, and I just wondered, like, how I didn't realize that, you know, for $1,200 you could get something like that. I'm not a metal worker, but man, 1,000 kilograms. I have no idea.
1,000 kilograms is 2,204 pounds.
Oh, so it's actually, yeah, it's a ton.
Yeah,
it's more than a ton.
It's their spelling because it's international and it's based on kilograms.
Okay, so either way, that's a big chunk of metal. I just think it's crazy that something like that can double. But what's not crazy is during wartime, you're going to see this triple, quadruple. They might have to, during World War II, what was it? I mean, didn't our quarters change for a while because they needed nickel or other metals out of it? It's like the silver nickels that we have. What is that? I don't know what year that was, but that was because the wartime effort basically was taking in all the metal. This is at the beginning of a very smaller one, and we're seeing that the prices of this go up. I can only imagine we go to a full-scale war with a peer-to-peer adversary, things are going to start tightening up everywhere. And that's why, you know, preppers are looking at this and going, you know, we can see the writing on the wall. Everything that you can think of is going to go up. And this isn't to panic. This is to say, hey, you know, start thinking about this. The people that have been thinking about this for 5 years, or people that have been watching this and saying, oh, we've said this for 5-6 years. Yeah. And it takes that long. If you're on a budget, I'm glad we've been telling people for 7, 8, 9 years to prepare for something like this, because guess what? When you are on the lower scale, it takes that long to even get anything going. I mean, how many people have an emergency fund that they can truly dip into right now if their tire pops? Heck, we've got a four-wheel drive vehicle. One of it's got a nail in it. It's been in it for like freaking 3 months. Did the necessary repair to it, but it's like something like that can literally screw us over. About prepping, it's like it's an expensive thing to do, but everyone needs to do it. And the American government should be telling people to prepare right now. And they're doing it on the back end. You know, they'll put a DHS paper saying everybody needs 6 months to a year of food. They'll just put that straight out. We need 6 months to a year of food. They've already told us that. But where do you hear it? Nowhere. It's nuts. All right, and then we have Trump administration making heavy preparations for potential use in ground troops in Iran. Do you guys remember what I've been saying all week now and for 3 weeks? the pattern that you have to look out for. They keep telling you they're making preparations, they're looking at it, they're considering it, they're doing all. When you see this syndicated across all medias, you know this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I will call it right now. I've been calling it. They are going to do a ground troop invasion in Iran. This it may not be this other amphibious group that just got put in there. It may not be that, but I bet you they are guaranteed going to be a part of it. They're going to do a landing, but they're going to bring more there. It's going to be this slow drip. They tell you first. They say, this is on the table. They might be thinking about it. So then they get the reactions. They point out the people that are against it. They then know, okay, who's going to be a problem when we come out with this? Then when they come out with it, they know exactly what they need to handle. And by now, I bet they have AI dealing with who dissenters and anybody that's talking bad about it, and they can, handle anything that might actually affect it, right? Most of us complaining about it isn't going to do anything. If all of us complain about it, it's not going to stop it. But certain people, they'll know how to handle that issue. That's why they do these slow drips. Dex, isn't it funny that they've been saying almost this, but in different wording and getting closer to just saying, we're going to do it?
Yep. We've been reporting on the leaks of conversations in the White House where they have the conversations. And now what they're reporting is that the Pentagon officials have actually made the detailed preparations for deploying U.S. ground forces into Iran, according to the sources that have been briefed. The senior military commanders have submitted this specific request aimed at preparing for such an option as President Trump weighs moving the U.S.-Israeli-led conflict with Iran. And whether or not he's going to use forces on the ground. So he keeps saying, no, I'm not putting troops anywhere. He also said, but if I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you I was. So therefore, you don't know. You can't take his word for it because he's not going to give it up. And then, of course, the press secretary came out and said, look, it's the job of the Pentagon to make preparations in order to give the commander-in-chief the maximum optionality and give him all the options on the table that he can use. It does not mean the president has made a decision. As the president said in the Oval Office yesterday, he is not planning to send ground troops anywhere at this time. But maybe 10 minutes after that conversation, he could change his mind, right? So the point is the Pentagon has now prepared their plans. My assumption, where I think they would go first, is Karg Island. It's a easy thing. It's probably the most strategic
I don't know about easy
land grab. It's easy in the sense that it's a small island with about no more than 1,000 troops on it that they would have to take out, to which they've already bombed it significantly. So there's probably a lot less. That would be a very small island to secure, and then you have to defend it before going into, say, the mainland.
See, I don't know how easy Karg Island will be. I've heard a couple vets' opinions on it, and they say Karg Island is super important, so that will absolutely be a target. I think you're spot on with that. But they did say that they had a side opinion that it's not going to be as easy as possible, and this is Karg Island. In fact, is what might be triggering these rumors, and by who talking about, planning for a potential nuclear weapon, like. A nuclear weapon, a tactical nuke hitting Karg Island, that would take care of it very fast. And it might even be strategically possible. Like something like Karg Island, that would be somewhere where you might think there would be like a first strike tactical nuke, right? What do you think, Dex?
No, I totally disagree. And I only say that because, not that it's a wrong opinion. If you're trying to completely decimate the country, yes, do that. But if I think strategically, if you're Trump, what you're going to do is take Karg Island and secure it, not destroy it, because it is the oil pipeline out of Iran. And if you can control that pipeline, now you can control the flow of that oil that goes to China and everywhere else, just like he controlled the flow of the oil out of Venezuela. So I think that's the strategic play. And dealing with the regime is a part of that. But if you can grab that land, which is also why he didn't destroy the oil portion, he only destroyed the military portion of that island. The island's not that big. It's about the size of Manhattan or half of Manhattan. It's a small island, and basically the lower half has all the oil industry, and the upper half had living quarters and military that were there. So the people that worked the oil industry and the military that had all their equipment there. So yeah, that's my opinion.
So no, and you're right, but giving off the recent stuff, you almost think whoops, sorry about that. You almost think, what do you call it? Israel could hit it, right? Because Israel hit the gas target when the U.S. supposedly said don't hit their gas targets, and I mean probably because the U.S. wants it. I didn't realize that Karg Island was that oil pipeline.
Yeah, but Bibi did say yesterday to Trump, he said, "Fine, I won't hit any more oil targets."
Yeah,
Trump called him on that. So I mean, maybe he'll change his mind, but he said he won't do it anymore.
Grok said no. There is essentially zero realistic possibility of the U.S. making a tactical nuclear weapon on Karg Island. There's a current context. Basically, they say that there most likely will probably be more airstrikes, a potential blockade, even a risky ground seizure. See, even this says it's a risky ground seizure because I think that Karg Island has different things set up there. That's what those vets were saying. I don't know. I didn't hear about Karg Island like many of you until this like last couple weeks when they started talking about it. But yeah, if that's an oil pipeline, that totally changes it. I think you're right, Dex. I'm pretty sure you are right.
The way it works is that all of the shoreline of Iran is shallow, so they can't get deep ships into the ports on the mainland. So they used Karg Island as their deep port. And they ran all of their oil infrastructure and pipelines out to that island. So all the oil that comes out of Iran via ship basically flows under the water onto that island and on that island into the ships and out the way. So that is it's like 90% or more of all the oil that flows out of that country. So if you that's why they call it the Achilles heel of Iran. If you take Karg Island, Iran is done.
I don't see, but that's I saw another
financially done.
Yeah, well, no, okay, that makes sense. But as far as because they can launch from anywhere, they have supplies almost in every province. So, but you're saying it would take the money from out. It would take the rug from out underneath them.
They'd have no money, and China would have no oil.
Man. All right, and then let's see here. Dex, talk about France real quick. I'm going to change a battery here real quick.
Yeah, certainly. So France is this is kind of crazy. So we've talked about these, personal fitness trackers. I think, it was many years ago we talked about it with U.S. soldiers wearing them on the ship. They would go out and they would be jogging on the ship doing their exercise, and they had their Fitbit back then, if those are still popular, or even an Apple Watch. But in this case, it's Strava, which is another one of those fitness apps. But apparently a French naval person, I don't know if he was an officer or not, gave away the entire coordinates of the French aircraft carrier in the Mediterranean, as reported by the media and a bunch of other people, because everybody was saying, "Hey, look, we can see the movement now of the French aircraft carrier because of this guy out jogging." And you can kind of see, it's not in this article, but I've seen other images of it. They show the images of the loops he was making as he's running along the ship as the ship is moving through the Mediterranean. So apparently, France now came out and said, yeah, we're going to take appropriate measures after he was an officer. A naval officer was using the Strava exercise app, and it inadvertently enabled journalists to geolocate the aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle that was in the Mediterranean to help protect French and Allied assets interests during the Iran war. So, yeah.
You could say.
Not a good look.
Loose hips sink ships.
Yes, certainly you could. But, look, at the end of the day, I will say this. Russia has done this, and China for sure is doing it. As you said earlier in the show, Adam, they all have satellite capabilities, and they know where every one of every ship that's out there, they track it. It's part of their job. There's teams that sit there and just monitor where the ships are moving and keep tabs on them by the hour, if not in smaller increments, so that they know where every single U.S. ship is, every single French ship is. I'm sure China even knows where every Russian ship is, and Russia probably keeps an eye on China's as much as they keep an eye on the U.S.'s. So they know. It's not like this thing was in stealth mode and this one jogger gave it away. But what they did do was give it away to the press, give it away to the public, give it away to the people who don't own, massive satellite farms up in the sky. Right.
Which, by the way, that we've covered some of the technological advances that they're doing. Some stuff is as simple as shooting lasers up into the sky towards satellites to blind them, to other ones to satellites. This is what's going on above us too. The satellites are trying to jam other satellites, and this is the scary part. They've talked about potential like smaller sort of an EMP sort of thing happening just in a local regionalized thing. So if they actually go in for an operation, it would be used on specific satellites. They target and follow the satellites. And this is why it's important. We covered all of these instances where Russia is following our satellite, or China is following and tagging along our satellites. That's why those stories are important. When you hear, oh, this satellite was essentially tailing a U.S. satellite, because they're practicing for when it happens. That could do a smaller blast or something. It could even be a kinetic impactor where it hits that satellite and takes it out right above where China may be sailing. That one satellite might be the only one in that area that will actually be able to have live coverage and see that ship down there. Because at this point, everybody's got satellites. There's these entire groups. Almost all of the Starlink, that is a part of the military's strategy as well. 1 in 4 are hypersonic detectors. So they're making these grids around the planet. Very soon, if not already, there will be no blind spots. There might be storms and things like that they won't be able to see, but then they have other ways to look through the clouds. China, we covered this, that China figured out how to find our stealth jets by the actual exhaust. The exhaust that was coming out of our F-22 or F-35, one of those, which again, it's kind of, I think it might have been the F-35, Dex. Do you remember? Was it the F-35 that they figured out how to actually find via the exhaust trails?
I thought it was multiple. I thought they said they had
you're very,
of all of them.
You could be right. So the contrails that come off of the actual jet, they have a very specific signature. So China was quickly able to find our stealth jets via those contrails. So you use those trails to find it, and then boom, you've got that stealth jet pegged. Something like that, it makes me think of a couple days ago when we had an F-35 go down, and the same day they tell us that Chinese missiles may change everything overnight, and a day after they say, oh yeah, China is totally helping with this, and Russia's helping with satellite information to Iran targeting. I mean, you've got Russian satellite technology telling them where it is, and then Chinese missiles knocking it down. You've got help. You've got help there where not a lot of people are even looking, because, I mean, it's not like Russia's going in there with 10,000 troops and on the front lines yet. But they are there with satellite and technology that Iran did not have. China is giving them missiles and technology they didn't have. You start to see, if you haven't noticed, Cuba is getting solar panels from China. They're helping them because Cuba is now embargoed. You have Russia saying that they yesterday declared that they are going with 2 shipments of gas and oil to Cuba, which everybody knows that's going to be 2 heads bumping, right? We've got the things surrounded or strategically surrounded, so they're trying to do an embargo and stop anything coming in. Well, that's obviously them helping Cuba, them helping this, them helping that. They are keeping those places going. This is World War III. This is 2 sides, one side versus the other. And right now, the technology part of this, and going back to the satellites, when they are tailing it, they could do a smaller blast, just take out those strategic satellites. It might look like a glitch. It might look, oh, we lost that satellite. And then all of a sudden a Chinese ship or a Chinese armada is underneath it, where normally we could just see exactly where it is. We know they're right here. We're watching them the whole time. All of a sudden, China knows exactly where our satellites are watching it, goes up, and they're monitoring space as well. That's why I think a lot of the moon stuff is supposedly happening, is they're actually monitoring the satellites or doing something up there. But then they could take out those satellites right as they move in. It could be for 6 hours or 12 hours, and then they move in, or 2 days. They could knock out all the satellites in a certain area so they would be blind, truly blind. Because right now, they know where everything is. I wonder, and I want to do more research on the stealth of ships. I know that there's radar stealth, but what about satellite stealth? How are they combating that? All right, and then Before we move on, make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/Jace. This is a great service. Again, it is where you can get all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics all in a handy kit sent right to your door discreetly. Again, this is a quick telehealth appointment with a doctor via a cell phone, a tablet, or other device. You could literally use anything in your house to do this. It's very easy. And then, boom, you can get all of those antibiotics right to your doorstep. And you can add in things like, of course, albuterol and other things that you might need in an emergency situation if you have an asthmatic in the house. But there's a whole list of add-ons. Go check it out. There's also Jace Daily, which I haven't mentioned in a while. That is a 12-month extended supply of your prescription meds. So if there's somebody in your family that does need medication or is dependent on it, whether they want to be or not, this is a great thing. Quite a while ago, somebody was like, we can't believe you support Big Pharma or whatever. It's not about that. There are people that literally are dependent on medications that if they don't have, they are going to be in trouble. And that's just a fact. You can say whatever you want morally, your stance against supporting Big Pharma. Some people need this kind of stuff. And if you have a family member that you're not going to convince ever, you're going to die on a hill trying to convince them to prep, you can also do this for them in ways. So again, there's certain things where you can, get an entire year of prescription meds and have that on hand. And then you rotate it into your normal meds. And then if something happens, you have a year ahead. 12 months is a big deal. So yeah, that is something to check out. And as Dex, you found out, some of the time you actually spend less on bulk than what you would through paying cash for a medication. For those of you without insurance, there's actually some of those deals are better than what you would pay at the pharmacy. All right, marfooglenews.com/Jace, code MARF. Again, that's code MARF to help us again and save money at the same time. But yeah. And then we have Chuck Norris. There's no more Chuck Norris button. I forget what Conan O'Brien called it. Didn't he call it like the Conan O'Brien handle or something? But he used to do it was like an easy button, but it was like the Chuck Norris button, and Chuck Norris would pop in. Chuck Norris has been the butt of many jokes, but Chuck Norris there's no arguing, he's been legendary in the meme department. He's also been just a legendary name. He is literally used as an example of badass. Oh yeah, Chuck Norris. He ended up dying at age 86 after a medical emergency. So, and he was healthy as heck. Chuck Norris has also been an example of healthy older man. For the last 20 years, he's been, looking like a stud. I mean, in his 80s, he's freaking lifting weights and doing, freaking martial arts. So, Dex, when you saw this, what sucks is it was because of this. It sounded like, wasn't it a medical thing where they screwed up, or it could be a screw up, or?
No, we don't know. He went into the hospital with a medical emergency the day before yesterday, I believe it was, in Hawaii, and then passed the next day. They have not said anything. The family doesn't want to say anything. They're asking it to remain private for now. So we have no clue. But just 10 days before, on his 86th birthday, he was sparring in a video that he had posted with his trainer. So yeah, you could see that for an 86-year-old, he was phenomenally fit. But at the same time, he's 86 years old. So there's all sorts of ailments and things that can happen as you age, and we don't know what took him. But the family did put out a statement that he lived his life with faith, purpose, and an unwavering commitment to the people he loved. Through his work, discipline, and kindness, he inspired millions around the world and left a lasting impact on so many lives. So
people said he was a nice guy too.
Oh yeah, he was very very nice guy. I think he had multiple black belts across multiple different martial arts, if I remember correctly. Something like 6 different versions, from jiu-jitsu to karate, etc., taekwondo, all of that. He trained a lot of movie stars that had to do action scenes and things like that, and using martial arts. He would train them, so he did a lot of that. Of course, we all know him from the TV show Texas Walker Ranger, and of course all the movies he's been in. But yeah, definitely sad to see. I think there's plenty of new memes that are going to come out, like, the Grim Reaper is running scared because Chuck Norris is not here. Things like that. But yeah,
my friend
Chuck is a badass.
Well, yeah, I could see like a meme saying like, "Oh, now Iran's gonna win," It's like, so my friend Daniel has a story. He was with like 34 people or 35 people in his family reunion, and he said that Chuck Norris took a picture with each one of his family, and they caught him like at a restaurant in California. And like he literally ended up waiting for he said it took like 25 minutes, and he ended up taking individual photos with everybody when he was just doing his thing. And he insisted after they asked, would you be okay with it? And then I think a second family member was like, well, could you get a photo? He goes, I'll take a photo with all of you if you need. I'm not in a hurry. And he ended up taking photos with all 34 or 35 of them separately for their social medias, and they took group pictures. And he said he was basically just super chill, then ended up eating at the same restaurant, and everybody was just having a great time talking to him and making fun. And he pokes fun at himself, too. That was the funny part. There was one clip that I saw that was really funny. It was like something about an alligator or something about a big lion or something. He told a Chuck Norris joke, and it was a Chuck Norris. If anybody knows that joke, please look it up and type it into chat. But it was like basically, oh, the lion was right there. It was frozen, and said something. And he goes, and then, then the lion ran away or something like that. God, it was so funny because it's Chuck Norris doing it after years of everybody using him as the example.
Oh yeah, he embraced those memes. He loved it.
Yeah,
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Why? Yeah, any guy would. Like, if they use you as the example of the alpha male, like. Yeah, I don't see too many old school guys denying that kind of thing. All right, and then, Carla Bob, as we covered earlier, this is an accelerated deployment of thousands of Marines. And somebody said earlier, like, oh, who, just some Twitter person. This is Carla B from Newsmax. So this is a news agency, got the exclusive of this. The deployment of thousands of Marines and sailors, up to 4,000 total, but it is the Amphibious Assault Group. And I think I posted the video. There's a video of essentially what is being added into it. I think it's the an LHG. Is that what they call it? But it is an Amphibious Assault Carrier Group. So there's other ships, the Portland, a few others, but these are ships that essentially, the big one is an aircraft carrier. It can have Harriers, it can have F-35s, short takeoff and vertical landing, and then it can also do up to like the, what do they call those big not helicopters? They can do Ospreys, and they can do, it has such a cool name. It's not Chinook, not all of those. It's actually one of the few non-Native American names, but the big one, if you guys know Transformers, Blackout and Grinder were this helicopter. Forget what the heck they call it. Either way, it can do those big helicopters, and underneath, just like I showed you guys in that thumbnail, it can have up to like 34 vehicles depending on what they are. And these vehicles, the whole inside, the back of it is basically an open block, and they can actually lower it to fill it up with water to not only release vehicles. These are either tracked or tired amphibious vehicles that will roll in, roll up on land, and they can do invasions with these things. They can do island hopping with these things. So it is kind of interesting that they're pulling. Didn't they pull this out? They pulled this out of the West Coast, but they've taken them out of the South China Sea as well, and they've plopped them over there. The South China Sea, where obviously everybody talks about island hopping, is what they're exercising to do for Taiwan. For them to put this over there, people question, like, is this going to be a risky move, not having that huge force over there? Basically, for Taiwan, we need a force present when it happens and right there to stop anything from happening. If not, it will be a response thing, and that's essentially World War III right there if they take it and we try to take it back. So yeah, this is a big deployment, and it is not something that a lot of folks that are against war want to see, but it is what is happening. If you need a resource for freeze-dried food, marfooglenews.com/prep. Somebody asked earlier again about food, this is a good affordable resource. Again, to get freeze-dried food, it's all packaged in Mylar bags. It can last up to 25 years. You just add boiling water or cook in water or add in sauce and cook in sauce, and you've got yourself a meal. It puts all the life back into the food. It's one of the best ways to preserve food. And this is one of the most affordable ways to get bulk. You're talking about 1 month, 3 month, those are the best plans because you get literally a bulk discount. It's like buying Costco, but buying freeze-dried food at that. So marfooglenews.com/prep. Make sure to go check it out. All right, and then let's see here. I'm going to go back to this real quick. And then Dex, thank you for your service today. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
All right, you guys, have a wonderful night. I want to thank our top supporters tonight. Thank you. Delta Wildman, Stephen McMahon, CMAC, thank you. I appreciate that. And then make sure to go to marfooglenews.com to get a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. You can just Google Marfoogle. And then, of course, when you click today's thumbnail, again, worldwide alert tourist attractions are the target. Then you will find a full list of articles and tweets and everything else that we talked about here today. Also, there is a Friends tab at the very top. When you go over to Friends, you can find all of our mods, including Bobby Sue, Jamrai, Leah, Wages World, Chance. Of course, every one of them is on that page and all of their links. So again, their Amazons are over there if you want to go to Chance Paladin and grab a book from them. Or Ilea and go check out her Twitter, or Trinity and check out her awesomeness. All right, Wages World is covering all of the solar events. You've got Rip Curl covering all the Rip Curls. You've got Jammer covering all the jams, and Gems covering all the gems. All right, you guys, have a great night. Again, Dex, thank you. I don't know if I forget if I said thank you.
Much love. Great job, bro.
All right, you guys, be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.